The other developments are that they sent a pseudo threatening message to me, and I think to other people, basically saying, "Don't call it a scam, and we're going to sue people or something." I don't think they've actually sued anybody. And I've been very clear that technically speaking, I don't know if it's a scam yet. Technically,
I am balding. I have a large bald spot. Okay. When did you start balding?
maybe like 5 years ago or something.
Okay. Do you consider yourself a nice guy?
Um, yeah, I'm actually like a really nice guy normally. I mean,
Questions, and I think that there's some questions that need to be asked. That are interesting. I just want to know more about this guy, right? So let me see if he's ready. How are you doing today?
doing all right. Things have kind of chilled out a little bit since my kind of couple of viral moments the last couple weeks, but and I've been kind of just getting into it, doing more content creation, having kind of fun, that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah, man. Okay. What do you do for fun?
Uh, well, I guess now it's content creation.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, so I'm a huge gamer, right? So, more recently I've been doing a lot of World of Warcraft because I got invited to Miskiff's kind of WoW guild, so I'm gonna be helping out with that for fun. I also do a lot of tech meetups in San Francisco, so that's what we do for fun in SF is we because a tech meetup is basically a place where it's hosted at like a company, and so like it's a cool venue and the drinks are free, and you're talking about people talking to people with AI, right? It's way better than a bar, basically.
Nice. Yeah, you got that like common interest, so it's never gonna get awkward. Yeah. No, that's cool. Okay.
Oh no, it's definitely awkward.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
definitely
Fair.
full of awkward people.
Fair. But like you know what I mean. It's like
It's a good time.
you've at
It's
least
a good
got
kind of
the
awkward.
yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Well. Okay. So I wanted to I listen. I did a lot of research for this.
Awesome.
I've watched pretty much all of your available lives. I've watched all of your videos pertaining to the Reddit stuff and a couple of others. I've watched I think all of your interviews that you've done. And so it's not a mystery that you have a pretty selective process with who you choose to interview with, which I think is a good thing. And so I just wanted to start things out just so you could know that it's not this isn't like some kind of evil like
No,
hostile
you're
me trying to make you into a lolcow situation. Like, do you have any questions for me to start out?
You're no, you're totally good. Yeah, you seem
Okay,
like a normal person.
cool.
So honestly, it's not that selective. Okay,
Okay,
it's just
fair
I don't
enough.
want to be in like the Keemstar video or something, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's really not
Mm-hmm.
that selective. It's just there's a lot of these crazies who come after you.
No, that's true. No, and then I mean, like, especially with your video to Spez. I mean, I know that you know this, but like, it's of course going to attract the attention of many a person who's going to try to like, farm content out of it, right? So
Yeah.
I completely understand that. Okay, so basically the way that we're gonna do this, we'll save. I'm sure chat will have a couple, but I'll save those towards the end. And I'm kind of starting out with a couple of just soft balls that I've never heard asked that I'm just interested
Sure.
in, and then we'll get more into like the actual content itself. Um, so where does your username come from?
I used to play a lot of chess, and I made it in the year 2000.
Okay,
So I'm not 26. I'm more like 30, 35. But yeah, so it stands for stalemate.
okay, cool, cool. Um, okay, and then I've looked at your Reddit, but I was more curious from a perspective of not necessarily moderation. Like, what are some of your favorite subreddits to frequent, other than
I
LSF, of
mean,
course?
yeah, beyond that one, I mean, I'm pretty involved in the Destiny community, so I would say that I follow that one a lot. I've argued a lot in there as well.
Hmm.
I don't honestly, I don't really follow that many other subreddits. Well, I have a actually I do a lot with like Warhammer stuff and like 3D printing and like kind of techie stuff like that. So I follow a bunch of subreddits related to that stuff.
Cool. Okay. Um, yeah, I've got a couple of friends into Warhammer. I've tried getting into it. It's just like there's so much to it. It like it makes me overwhelmed. You
Yeah.
know? Um, okay, so here's a big one. What videos are you working on next? Do you have any like kind of in the sheath right now that you're thinking about pulling out?
Yeah. What was it? Oh yeah, I have one. Maybe I'll get it up by tonight. I haven't. So I make my videos in over the course of like 10 hours, like
Yeah.
scripting and editing. But that's like full time doing it. So the next one I might do is based on so the clickbait title is going to be something like the problem with female live streamers, and then I'm going to be talking about how female live streamers only kind of fit into three real categories, and those three categories are the ditzes, the sex workers, or the there's another one, um, the rage baiters. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be talking about what are like the systemic reasons. So first of all, I think that's kind of bad. I wish there was more female streamers who are outside of these kind of very controversial categories. And I want to explore why people go into this and why these people are popular and how do we fix it. And I mean, the answer is of course systemic sexism, but that's yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Wait. So what was the first category you said?
So there's category one is ditzes slash PR trained. So
Okay.
basically,
Yep.
people who have no opinion on anything and therefore can't be attacked by anything.
Yep.
It's the ditz is the way to do it, but you can also be somebody like Pokimane, because like Pokimane, it's not that she's a ditz, but she's so fake that she can't get attacked for it
100%.
on things.
Yep. Like total fence sitter sort of thing. Yeah. 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 I gotcha. Okay. That's interesting. I'm excited to see that one. Um,
Mm.
and okay, so I mean, you've talked about this a little bit, but I kind of want to hear just like from you, like full on answer. Like what was it that got you so passionate about LSF? Like before even your moderation with it. What was it that just got you like into it?
Yeah, so it was dealing with it on the other side. Being the enemy of LSF is kind of what got me into it. So I was at Twitch for 4 years. I was the main engineer on the Clips service. So there's a short video shared virally on the internet, and 1/3 of our traffic came from this one subreddit. And so like this is like directly related to my job was this subreddit. I was an engineer, I was on the technical side of things, but and I saw internally at the company uh, how much I guess like power and influence this like subreddit had like it not in like a very direct way. Like nobody's gonna go out and say like, oh yeah, we banned this person because they were viral on LSF. Like nobody's gonna admit that, but that's basically what happened. And so like yeah, and any major story about Twitch would always be viral on LSF. The narratives would be driven by LSF. Streamers would get all of their opinions from LSF and they would react to it. And yeah, that's why it's like, and it was causing us a lot of problems. And I was like, honestly, I was like doing meetings with like executives, literally executives saying like, what do we do about the subreddit? And like nobody else was like listen. Nobody listened to me, by the way. Nobody ever listens to me. And yeah, so and that's how it is. I was trying to get the subreddit shut down. I was trying to tell people like, do we DMCA it? Do we sue them? Do we do all these things? And then in a very roundabout, erratic way, I then ended up turning into the monster that I was fighting by taking it over.
Right. Okay, that's really interesting. So when you said that about like potentially banning somebody because they went viral on LSF, is that like a hypothetical or do you have a direct example of that?
I mean, like almost every example, like every viral example of a ban probably started with a clip on LSF.
Yeah, I mean that it checks out. It does check out.
But
Damn.
yeah, I mean, it's like yeah, it's nobody's gonna admit to it. It's just like it would basically people do things all the time that break the rules, but because nobody notices it, they kind of get away with it. But if there's like a big viral moment with millions of views, it's almost like the company can't ignore it. But
Yeah,
they're not gonna say we banned it because it was on LSF.
right. That makes sense. I mean, it is sort of the same way on YouTube, except we don't really have something like LSF, But it's the same way where it's like, you can slip under the radar for a good amount of time if nobody notices. Okay. And that does, what you were saying about your experience working at Twitch actually kind of leads to my next question. What was there anything that caused you to stop working at Twitch, or was it just what was that?
A couple reasons. So one, I hit my 4-year vest date, and I kind of left the week after. After I had all my stock options, I was going to get a big paid demotion because I didn't get kind of promoted in like 4 years, since that kind of really hurt my salary. Two, I'd been on a lot of like canceled projects, dude. So like the only successful project I ever worked on was Twitch Clips, and even that was a team that got canceled. And so like
Mm,
it really does suck to work on 6 or 7 projects that kind of like never get out or then like fail or then you get kind of reorged. and I was hit pretty hard by that. But and just I lost a lot of confidence in the company by that time, even though viewership was still pretty high by 2021, end of 2020 when I left. Um, Internally, the writing was on the wall for very huge problems at the company that then ended up kind of destroying it. I think so. I think it's now Twitch is like a shell of its former self. Kind
Yeah.
of since so.
Yeah, undisputably. 100%. That makes sense. Okay. Um, so how did you start modding for LSF? Like you kind of explained, the influence aspect and all that kind of stuff, but like what are your origins there?
Yeah, so I had actually had a couple interactions with the mod team already, even at Twitch, because I was the engineer on Clips. I tried to set up some like a Reddit AMA or something with like product managers. Things never kind of really went through, but I was thinking like, okay, how could we collab with a subreddit or do some fun stuff like for on April Fools or whatever? And so I already knew these guys, and I just saw a post, a couple months after I left the company, kind of recruiting for moderators, and so it was like, all right, I'll put in my application. I don't work for the company anymore, and I spent about an hour on the application, actually answering every questions, giving like a paragraph each. And they told me that this is the best application they ever gotten. To see somebody who, in my perspective, only spent an hour writing the application to, I don't know, like 1,000 words or whatever.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and that's how we got on. And so that's how it goes.
And how long did it kind of take you to rise the ranks? Because I imagine you started out, I guess, like is there even like a tier system there, or
There's a
how?
tier.
Okay, okay. So how long did it take to kind of rise through the ranks?
It was a lot of work. About 2 years.
Okay.
So there's a team of moderators, and I basically outlasted people, is what I would say. So I,
Mm,
put in a lot of work just doing the boring moderation work, but so just deleting comments, banning users. It's a lot of work to do that stuff, and there's just always internal mod drama on these teams, and I just kind of stayed out of it, and because of that, other people left or got kicked off the team or did all of these nonsense until there was kind of like a moment where the top mod. So there's a ranking system. Basically, there's the dictator who's the top mod. He can do
mhm.
whatever he wants. He controls the entire team. And the top mod was inactive. He was just kind of like sitting there. And so he decided he didn't want to do anything with this anymore, and he left. And so there was basically a vote to who's going to be the top mod. And then I played a political game, and then played people off each other, and just got voted top mod just because I was kind of doing all the work in the first place.
Right. Okay. Wait, and so that I guess that's interesting. Like when you got like kicked out, you were top mod, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so
like
it took me 2 years to become top mod, and then I was
right.
top mod for about a year and a half.
Okay, and how did that work like getting you kicked? Like cuz if you're like Mr. Dictator and everything, like did
Mhm.
they have to do a vote or like what was the process for that?
Yeah, so what happened is that even when I was top mod, the mod drama did not stop.
Mhm.
It kept going, and I fought back not one but two revolts from the entire rest of the mod team against me, based on some stupid drama that didn't matter. And then during this, so like Reddit rarely steps in, but if there's internal mod problems, they will kind of like shake their fist at you to like get shit under control. And so that a couple times that happened where the Reddit mods were, or the Reddit admins were like, fix your shit, bro, right? And then I think this final situation was probably just the final straw, as
Mhm.
opposed to necessarily kind of the thing that kind of really was the issue.
Yeah.
Because I really think I got lucky kind of a couple times. I think there's a couple other times where the admins could have kicked me off, but they didn't.
What were those times? Like what kind of drama are we talking with these like times where they were kind of shaking their fist at you?
Yeah, so the first time was with kind of the old mod team that like I was kind of working with for years. Uh, uh, I basically started doing a lot of stuff without asking kind of permission from the rest of the mod team,
Mhm.
because you can. you can ban users, you can delete comments, you can add things to automod, you can change all these settings, and pretty much nobody's gonna notice for a long time. And until one person did, and ironic. So this is very ironic. There was like some user that I was tracking that was he was like a stalker of mine, and was like spamming mod teams, and this like stalker got these other mods on his side, and then did a revolt or something, and then it's very complicated. But yeah, basically, what was the question? Like, I got lost it.
No, you're
Yeah,
fine. I
basically, it's
think
just
you
like
answered.
it's just like really dumb stuff. Like I was pushing the line a lot, and then people got mad, and then I was like, "Fuck you guys are idiots." And then that's how it goes. Just dumb stuff. It sounds really stupid in retrospect, to be honest, and you're not gonna understand how crazy it is unless you've been spent years arguing with people on Discord about Reddit drama.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I'm sure that there's a lot of just internal like politics and stuff involved, right? Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay. So, okay, here's one. So I saw your pitch to Miskiff, and I wanted to know what would be like who would be on your optimal first episode for that canceled show that you pitched to him.
Let's see. It. Oh, okay. It would be I know the answer. It's Darius and Erob. I would have them hash it out.
Okay.
Definitely those people. There's a big drama about how they got into like fights with each other, like physical altercations at TwitchCon.
Okay. Okay, cool. So, okay. Would the
Yeah,
okay,
and so that's
that's
what,
interesting.
and then they would both like that'd be the show. Like they would both of these are kind of crazy characters, especially Darius. And so that would be like the fun. It'd be like a Jerry Springer type thing of like,
Yeah,
yeah, these two people who actually got in a physical fight. Now they're duking it out on the internet.
cool. Okay. Um, okay, here's one that I wanted to ask because I'm kind of, I guess I could say adjacent circles to somebody like J Stalk, however you would like to pronounce his name. Um, and I saw that there was one of the videos on your channel is like an AI song about J Stalk. Is that did you write the lyrics for that? I saw that you like titled it like some kind of like remaster almost or something. Like is that
Um,
what is the lore to that?
I mean, the whole thing was just create. So I created version one, just using AI. I gave a couple pieces of information about kind of the streamer, and then I just clicked the go button, and then the remastered version was just an updated version of the same thing. Not really much change. It was like just another AI filter on top of it. I mean, the lore was just that right when a lot of this AI music. Okay, so I work in artificial intelligence. I'm
Right.
obsessed with AI. Just like every other. This isn't like that crazy. Like every other SF engineer is just like completely obsessed with AI right now.
Right.
This is the entire space, and so yeah, I saw some new music stuff coming out, and I love memes and streams, and I was I was following kind of GLSTLK kind of a while back. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just make a funny thing, and then while he was streaming, and then I just sent it to him, and then he loved it, and he actually made it his official theme song for about like 6 months to a year, actually.
That's
So that was
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like you kind of answered this already by saying that you're still like pretty into the community, but are you still a Destiny fan?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I've
Okay.
been following him since the StarCraft 2 guys.
Okay. Yeah, figured. Okay. Um, so in I think it was the side scrollers interview, you talked about there was this like super docs drama while you were a moderator. Is I think that was what the website was called, and you said that you ended up getting doxxed. What was how? Walk me
Um,
through that a little bit. Like, what was your reaction? Like, what did you? How'd that happen? You know?
I mean, you get through it. Or yes, so after one of the first kind of mod dramas, people. So it was never public actually for a while that I was on the mod team of Livestream Fail for like 2 years, 2 3 years, and this would have been a huge scandal. Actually, I'm surprised it not leak. I'm so surprised it not leak earlier because it's a scandal both from a person involved in kind of Destiny's community, who's people. I guess people call me a super fan. Um, I'm not. I don't go to like stream or anything, so I don't know what people call me that. But and so it'd be both people would be worried about bias as well as what I thought would be bigger would be that I'm a former Twitch staff. I'm actually a little bit surprised that was not controversial at all. That like the Twitch staffer took over live stream fail. I'm a little bit annoyed actually by it because that was my plan of the entire time. It was just about the only controversy was Destiny, and so yeah, because of some dumb mod drama, people released information about me, and then I mean, it wasn't actually that much doxing. The more recent doxing came more recently, actually.
Mm,
But by now, I basically have protected myself a lot. So I'm in a position where I can change my address, change jobs, change all sorts of things whenever I want. And so, initially that stuff was like pretty scary. I was like worried about it like a year and a half ago. But even now, I don't care anymore. Right? Like
yeah,
I've optimized my life to be immune to that stuff.
yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense, and that's smart. Um, okay. And so here's another thing that's from me watching your side scrollers interview. I know that in that interview you said that you wouldn't change the fact that you released your video to Spez, but
Mhm.
if you could do your video to Spez again, would you change anything?
Probably. I mean, hmm. I still like some of the funny jokes that I put in there because I put in a couple lines that I knew were going to be controversial, like the Reddit mods should be treated as celebrities. Um, I think I should have been calmer, right? Because there's definitely times where things kind of got away with me, and I think it pulled away from the message. And if I also think I should have focused less on myself because it does kind of come off as like, okay, you got sour grapes about kind of getting kicked off the mod team, and I should have just like more focused on Reddit moderation and kind of how bad kind of the company and kind of these mod teams are.
Yeah. Okay. That checks out. Um, and so, you know, with jokes like that, like the Reddit mods should be treated like celebrities and stuff. I guess the one of my questions about that was like you it's a very like fine line I feel like you teeter, right? Where like it's is it almost like a satirical thing where you're leaning into the bit? Because my whole thing was, so in that Ellis, or I mean the sorry, the side scrollers interview, you kind of talk about how that was to you at the time an obvious joke, and you also talk about this a bit in your irony video, like how that to you was an obvious joke. It didn't come off necessarily that way to people, and like to me part of it was like the fact that you explained, you kind of logified it, right? Like in a way that did make sense, where you're like, I'm not saying that like celebrities should be treated with like this amount of reverence. I'm saying this because of the fact that like they have no idea what they're doing, but they have some level of like team behind them, right? And they have
Yeah.
resources behind them. So like where is that line drawn? I know that you kind of said in your irony video that you even have trouble seeing it yourself with that first video, but I just wanted to see if you had any further clarification on that.
Yeah, yeah. The answer is that a lot of this stuff is like not really as planned out as you think. It's more of just I have like an idea in the moment, and then I just like say the idea, and like, oh, that's like a funny thing to say, and then I'm not really think. I'm just kind of going with it, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. It
Mm-hmm.
is the way I'll put it, because it's not like this whole thing was like, oh, I'm in character the entire time, pretending to be the moderator. That's not really it. It's just uh, it's almost like how I think. Like I think, I've been interested in humor for a very long time. I ran comedy shows at kind of my college, and when you're in that mode of thinking, you just have funny ideas. You make connections all the time, and then you just want to say them, and that's it. So that's kind of where the line, and so that's part of it. And the other thing is, I really like ideas. I don't want to call these like a maybe it's like a Mott and Bailey or something, but I like ideas that are audacious or like sound ridiculous at first, but have some underlying meaning kind of behind it. And so that's not exactly the same as a joke, but it's like I like it like to make people go like, huh, wait a second. Like this thing that I thought was a joke, maybe not so much. That's kind of that's the whole thing.
Well, yeah, and that's why I mentioned like satire, right? Where it's like I think about like episodes of South Park where they're kind of talking about a topic with just a ton of extremity to prove a particular point. And that's kind of almost how, after seeing your explanations on everything, I was, seeing those lines of yours.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Um, so going back a little bit into just the Reddit mod game, right? I think I think I know your answer here, but would you compare, your time at LSF to something like Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot more. It's like not just me doing political games; it's everybody else doing political games too. And like, I don't even know how to describe it, dude. Like, it's like Game of Thrones, but you get so deep into it that it, you get paranoid about some things, and sometimes the paranoia is real, and other times it's not, and it's really hard to be able to differentiate between it. Like,
Yeah.
like there are times when it's like I thought that I had like some stalker, and then people say that I was like delusional about this for like months, and it turns out it was because then they started stalking a different person, and then I got like told all about like all this other crazy things that the stalker was doing. And then there's like other times where it's like I think I had mentioned an interaction that I had with some kind of Twitch staffer about kind of live stream fail. Um, and without going into that too much, um, like it's possible that I might have like over exaggerated kind of how I described it because I guess in my video I described it as like Twitch staffers had like begged me or something to make sure LSF doesn't destroy Twitch or something. It's more of like there was some interactions. It's with multiple people actually where this topic has come up. People have tried to imply things. They try to sort of ask things without actually asking it, and you never really know what they're doing or what the thing is. And yeah, so that's what I'm describing. It's like let's say, like, is it paranoia if the government actually is out to get you? That's the kind of joke that I have, right? Like, is
Right.
it really?
Yeah.
Actually, I'll even here's okay. I'm gonna go into a little bit of conspiratorial territory here because I want to talk about this, which is like I'm talking a lot about how Reddit has all this influence that people aren't aware of, and how it's very easy to kind of grab this influence and take control of it and manipulate it because like these mods have just dictatorial powers. How do we know like governments aren't already doing this, right? Like there was a big controversy with Russia where they had factories of troll farms, uh, like um like manipulating social media. Like a
Yeah.
way more effective thing for them to do would be to take over a subreddit and like or like recruit people or whatever. And it's just like that sounds so conspiratorial, but it's like so obvious and easy that like is that happening? Like I don't know. And so yeah, that's my yeah that was my rant.
No, I mean, I mean, I think like, especially when we've got like I'm trying to remember the name of the company, but like the guy,
Cambridge
God,
Analytica.
no, the Russian company that was like underhandedly paying like political streamers, like Tim Pool, I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
they were paying them a bunch. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, like I mean, when you have examples like that, and what you're talking about, like with the bot farms and everything, I mean, I think that it's really only a matter of time, in my opinion. I think that makes total sense. Yeah.
like I'm convinced that, like I don't think it's a matter of time. I'm convinced maybe this has been going on for years already. Like I'm honestly I think that there's gonna be I have no evidence of any of this. This is
Right.
just like in my head, just because it's like so. I think there's going to be like a Cambridge Analytica style scandal with Reddit at some point because it's just so easy and obvious that I could not. I'm not the first person to have thought of this. I hope. I hope.
Yeah. No, I don't think you are. I don't think you are. Um, so you were talking about this a little bit in your initial answer, and I just kind of was curious for some elaboration because you've talked about it a couple of times. Like you talk about like instances in which you kind of play both sides to get them to like go against each other, right? Like, can you think of an example of that, like within your time in LSF?
Yeah, that was the. Here's the thing. I'm actually not that good at these political games, and that's why I don't like to lie. I just like to tell the truth a lot of times. Yeah, so that was how I became top mod. Is that I there's basically two factions of mods that were running against each other, and they were afraid of each other. They hated each other, and I was like kind of the compromise center person. And I told one side, hey, you got to worry about this side, and I told the other side, hey, you got to worry about them. And so they just ended up, voting for me instead because I was like the middle of the ground person. So that's my most like
Okay.
one example that I'm proud of. That's the
Sticking
most
yourself in the middle. Yeah, okay.
manipulative, yeah, successfully manipulative I've been.
So okay, see that, and that just makes me so curious because it's like, was it like a personality thing that divided these two factions, or was it like a policy thing? Like, what was it?
They're just everybody is just like so crazy. They're like egotistical and crazy in their own way. There was a little bit of, we'll call it like political divides. Like one person was a lot more kind of SJW, whereas the other person was, I don't want to say right leaning, but they're very like egotistical and like, I'm always right and I'm always argumentative. And so I
Hmm.
think they both had reasons to be kind of wary of each other. But
Okay.
it wasn't like it was just like interpersonal stuff. It's not usually like a political divide or anything.
Right. It seems more so to be like two main characters with little factions behind them. Okay, I understand. Okay. Um. So this was an answer that you gave in one of your interviews that I just found interesting. What can you explain like the psychology of like why you believe it's better to be looked down upon rather than looked up to?
Yeah, because it gives you so much more freedom to actually achieve results. If you're always worried about, I mean, it's a very long-winded way of saying like, hey, stop caring about whatever the people think of you. In and by that I mean it's, are you trying? The question I always have to ask is, are you trying to achieve a result, or are you trying to just do something that looks good, or do something that makes it look like you're trying? And those are often very different things. And so that's why, I mean, I guess unless you very much care about the popularity game, yeah, you got to do controversial things. You got to do things that other people think are ridiculous. And in fact, like the lower tier, lowbrow stuff that other people think are ridiculous, they're the best things to do because we'll call them like low hanging fruit. They're like the diamonds in the rough that you might actually be able to accomplish. Everybody else is
Mm.
competing for the top for the obvious stuff, and they're not going for down here. That way, you can swoop in, grab the power that's on the floor, the changes on the floor, and kind of do something with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Um. So you kind of talked about this in like a more potentially negative sense with the little conspiracy hypothetical that you gave me earlier. But in one of your videos, you said that you think politicians should come into or potentially come into this space and control subreddits, like as an idea, one of your spitballs. What policy would you propose that they input, and like what form of control were you thinking?
Um, I don't know what I would mean by that. Because I could mean like I could be talking about how maybe politicians should do like AMAs on Reddit.
Mm,
I was reaching out to politicians to see if I could do that, like have Reddit AMAs. I guess there's like the analogy of Reddit mods to being politicians, but I guess you could have legislation. I guess.
hmm.
Um, I guess I'll steelman that, which is maybe for any major, I could get behind the idea that like any major platform shouldn't be anonymous. I'm like really starting to lose a lot of my respect for anonymity these days. Actually, surprisingly, even though I'm kind of like more libertarian-ish. Um, like I think like individuals, like the nobodies, should have anonymity, but anybody with like real massive power on the internet, I just think it's really dangerous for them to be anonymous and people just not know who they are. And that goes for Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, especially X, any social media platform.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from on that. I mean, on what you're saying about like the AMAs, like did that's just almost like wishing for more transparency in politics because like as it stands right
Mhm.
now with like just how like polished and kind of PR everything is, I couldn't see that ever going well like as we stand, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just I I'd love it if that could be a reality where we're in a world where, politicians can be a little bit more transparent, but I feel like we're not there. Um,
And people have done some in the past. It's just not really that common anymore.
yeah,
But yeah, it still is very PR driven. It's very like they pick and choose the questions they want to ask and answer.
exactly. Yeah. Okay. So here's one. Why did you get rid of the voting process within the subreddit?
Yeah, because the previous mod team was like extremely bureaucratic, where people would vote on like every little tiny thing, even if it like didn't matter. Like, okay, should we do an AMA with like the CEO of Twitch or something? Like obviously the answer is yes, but like, why are we even talking about? Like, why are we even arguing about this? And so I got rid of that. And like, it's not just that it's bureaucratic; it's that people think that they're owed a vote. People think that like no matter how bad their opinion is, no matter how unjustified it is, well, it's my vote. I should, you know, you know, control that. When maybe your opinions are just bad. And so it's democracy is different from meritocracy, is what I'll say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not and like it just gets you into to a different mind of thinking. If you don't have a vote, then the answer no rarely comes into your mind. You're not thinking no, don't do this. You're thinking like, okay, we're doing this, but there's a problem. How do we fix it? How do I contribute to this idea and make it better, as opposed to just saying up no, yes, no, we do it or not.
Hmm. Okay. And so would you consider that to be a more like meritocracy driven decision than like a dictatorial efficiency decision?
Yeah, it's because like I did it because I was being blocked all the time by kind of stupid votes
Mm-hmm.
and people who I mean, it sounds like very arrogant to say like, well, I was the most meritocratic person and I was getting blocked. It sounds very arrogant, but it kind of was true because I was the person pushing for all of these new kind of ideas and how do we grow the subreddit? How do we do all these cool events? And nobody else was, and everybody else was just like denying. It's like it's one thing if somebody doesn't do any work. It's quite another if you're blocking the work that other people are doing. And so I didn't want that to happen.
Yeah.
And I tried to make this not a dictator thing by like I guess how do I empower kind of my mod team? Like how do I tell them, hey, you can do this stuff too, right? Like it's less that I shouldn't be blocked and more is like I didn't want anybody to be blocked. If anybody wanted to do a cool thing, they should just be able to do it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, okay, so, you know, getting into or starting to get into the game show that
Mhm.
you reached out to and everything. Was that, do you know if that was supposed to be a singular episode or an entire like season of TV? Like, was that ever made clear to you? Because from watching all the videos and stuff, I was never really able to ascertain that.
Yeah. So filming was going to happen over a week. So there's going
Okay.
to be 7 days of the show.
Okay. Okay. So like 7 days, 7 episodes sort of thing?
Yeah, like seven, 8 episodes. I think. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe like I think maybe the next one 8.
Cool. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Um, okay. And we'll get more into that a little bit later. Um, I have to know. I have to know. What is the thinking behind like the artistic choice of like the aura around you?
I mean, I just like doing experimental things, and so I found some cool video editing software that could have some AI filters, and I've just been kind of trying them. It's just kind of my style. It's both like experimentation. It's also like it's just like fun things to do. Other fun things I might do is use like add AI videos to kind of the background as the B roll. Um, I might actually here's like a really funny one is I might use like a live AI filter to kind of like give myself hair as like a live thing, and then do the video completely seriously. And so yeah, I mean, all these are all these new tools, and being a little bit ridiculous out there is kind of always my style anyway, and as well as experimentation.
That makes sense. Okay. Um, ooh, here's one. Can you think of any? specific examples of live streamers who have come to you and asked you to remove negative posts about them on LSF?
Sure. I mean, the okay. First of all, there has not been as many as you would think that people kind of conspire about. I guess the two main examples that have already been leaked and been viral are one is NMP and two is kind of Miskiff. Uh, NMP was probably the most annoying one, where he was just like he's just very upset and like very kind of whiny about things. He's very obsessed with LSF and his kind of vision, like viewership and that kind of stuff. And so he was bugging people for a while. And then the other one was Miskiff, but he was Miskiff has like a reason for it. So the two main there's like there was like situations where his career got like destroyed twice by LSF, and so can I really blame him for being like whiny in DMs demanding like things get taken down while his career gets destroyed by before his eyes? Like I don't think that's really his fault. I get it. I understand why you're freaking out, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I understand. I mean, like, would you, in those cases that he was like coming and being like, please like get this removed or whatever, were they like justified cases of like, or were they kind of like him, as I always say, like making the sandwich, where he got kind of has to like lay in that bed of it? Is it something he did, or is it more
Um,
just like people clowning?
I mean the motivation is always like obvious, like they just don't want negative things about them.
Hmm.
But sometimes they did come with real issues, right? Because if something has a very clickbait title or there's a lie, uh, yeah, you could say that you're just trying to make yourself not look bad, but that's because it's a lie. Like, yeah, you're right. Like, lies do make you look bad, and we don't want lies to kind of go viral. And so, yeah, I mean, it was still, but yeah, then other times it was just like bullshit. But like
Okay.
we're talking like you know 40 to 60% kind of success rate here. So it could go either way.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Um, so you did this, you already went into this a little bit, but in saying maybe you misphrased the Twitch employees like coming to you like saying make sure LSF doesn't destroy Twitch sort of thing, and that might have been
Hmm.
like a little bit exaggeratory. It might have been a little bit more under the table slash like nuanced, or implication based than that. But
Yeah, or
I
like maybe they're just annoyed and like there was no secret plot. It was just like they were just mad at
okay.
me. Like
Okay.
could have been that.
So, but I want to hear that. I want to hear that story in a little bit more detail because it was only like a one liner and it was highly intriguing to me.
Um, I'm not gonna give any details.
Fair
Okay, so,
enough.
so the reality is actually that there's not one interaction. There's like I'm thinking of like three or four interactions that I had with kind of like different people, that all kind of fit. So like if I say a thing, like people are gonna assume that I'm talking about them,
Hmm.
and then they might misinterpret things. But yeah, the reality is, I guess, just at a very high level, it's just people kind of talking about the subreddit, talking about kind of the effect it has on people, giving some vague arguments about why, allowing this stuff is kind of bad, and then kind of like hinting that like maybe you should do something kind of differently. But that's really it. It's and
Okay.
this is like not one. This is like three. I'm talking about like three or four different conversations I had with different people.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So, when you describe partnerships that you wish Reddit had offered you, what did you have in mind? Like you say three things in that little segment. You say like
Mm-hmm.
partnerships. You also talk about pipelines, and the pipelines thing makes a decent bit of sense. And same with the lawyers thing. I understand what you're saying with those two. Like the pipelines, I just assume you're talking about like easy access to contacts within companies to be able to communicate better. But like what did you have in mind when you say partnerships?
Yeah, so the one obvious one is of course AMAs. Having a
Hmm.
company, talk about whatever it is they're doing on the relevant subreddit. But there have been other major partnerships with subreddits that have gone well. So for example, the NFL did a partnership with the r/NFL subreddit supported by the company. So they gave them exclusive
Mm.
content, uh, you know, chats with kind of players. They even gave them like NFTs or something right? There was like NFL themed NFTs for a while for this NFL subreddit. Like, I want LSF NFTs. Where's my NFTs, bro? And so there's, you could do stuff like that. Um, I mean, yeah, it's stuff like the game show stuff. It's stuff like, can you do giveaways? Like, maybe you have a bunch of merchandise that you give out kind of to your users. With gaming, you could do tournaments. You could have a gaming tournament, and then it's working with kind of the users of the subreddit. You could give out gaming keys. You could give out sneak peeks. It's literally just anything. It's like literally anything related to social media and an audience, because this is a Reddit is a platform, just like any other platform, just like Twitter, just like any influencer. A bunch of people there, a bunch of eyeballs, valuable to somebody.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, it goes into kind of what you've said many times at this point of just taking more advantage of the potential of the platform. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Um, so you talk about training for mods, right? That's one of your ideas that you spitball. And I'm curious what what that would look like for you and if you think that that's a realistic solution.
It's hard to say because training, you get into this issue with training where I'll call it like the HR training problem, where you have these like weird courses that people feel like they're obligated to do, but they don't really kind of pay attention to or care about. And it's either too esoteric or too obvious for people to kind of learn things from. Um, I like, so you could have stuff like that. You could have maybe mentorships. Like, can you start? Actually, that's it. I think it's like, could you have a set of moderators that are just looking to be matched up with subreddits? So you
Mm.
could have people generally interested in gaming, and they're just interested in like modding game subreddits. Could you start them off at some like easy to mod subreddit with kind of help, and then they, like an apprentice, actually, they do that for a month or two, and then they get kind of shuttled along to kind of like the next big thing once they're done kind of done modding kind of there. But yeah, I just thought of that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it feels like what uh, you almost want like some like foundational, like standardized, some kind of system to make sure that there is, less of the kind of people that you're talking about who just are either just don't care or are way too power hungry and kind of like screw things up in terms of like corruption, like that kind of thing almost.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a system. It's like, how do you, and it's like a pooling resources system, because everybody actually on Reddit complains about mod recruiting. People are always need new mods, but how come like all the gaming subreddits aren't just like, okay, we'll just have like recruitment together, and then we'll all work together, and then send mods kind of the right way, so that people can have kind of shared. It's like, how do you have these shared standards? And then how do you recruit people? So that's the high level.
Okay. Um, One of the things that you talk about with mod support is access to ad deals. What would a Reddit mod do with an ad deal?
Um, I mean, by that, I just mean that if you want to do something cool with a subreddit, like literally anything,
Okay, so it's more
it
about the
probably
subreddit
might cost money.
itself rather than the mod themselves.
Yeah, you don't.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another debate to have about like, do you pay mods or not? What I will say is, with my conversations with Reddit, the company, they are more amenable to the idea of paying mods in some way, or getting or like getting money to subreddits to run community events, than I think most users realize. They want to do this. It's just they can't kind of do it in the right way.
Mm.
And so that's one, is like, people forget about money, I think, way too much. And two, I do think that money should come with strings attached. So it's not just about giving people money, it's about, using the money to attract the qualified people, and then replacing the people who are not qualified.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a more, streamlining it further and kind of like culling the unhelpful. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. 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 So, and this actually perfectly leads into my next question, which I feel like you've illustrated on a little bit. Do you believe that Reddit mods should be paid for their work? And do you believe that, and you've already answered this part, that they should go through a more strenuous process to become a mod? Um, but yeah, so do you think like in an
They go hand in
optimal
hand.
world, yeah, they probably do. Right.
It's yeah. I mean, I used to be a lot more idealistic about this, where like like okay, if somebody starts a community, they should control it, and the people who are good, they'll work on it. But I've just been kind of so dark pilled on how bad things are and how bad moderators are that I just like don't really value their autonomy that much anymore, and I think that they need to have it be taken away from them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've had my fair share of experience of, yeah, I get what you mean. um, okay. And then like, kind of hand in hand with that, you talk about like potential qualifications that should be needed to be like a mod, right? Like what qualifications would those be to you? Like would it be concrete, or would it be more of a like an attitude sort of thing, like something more ethereal? Like what would that look like?
I mean, vague and ethereal basically means nothing, right? So
Right.
I think it should be concrete. And so you could have experts or people in an industry kind of control the relevant subreddits. The easiest and most obvious thing is like, okay, if you have, a company like I talk about gaming, so like, you could have the company control their own subreddit. That comes with its own issues because they might want to hide kind of criticism or whatever, but there's this conflict of interest there, but they would be qualified. But you could also just get you could get a wide swath of people from different parts of the community, of the professional community, to run these places. So that's what it is. It's I want professionals. I want people who have spent a year working as a community manager at their real job doing this for Reddit because that's I mean frankly like I don't know what a community manager does, right? Like they should know that. This is a real job that people do. And so why can't you just do that, or just basically just take people in industry who have the qualifications already, put them there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Um, so after your video, did Spez or any high-ranking Reddit employees, did they ever reach out to you?
No, no, they have not.
Okay.
I have though actually asked a couple friends of friends who are starting to ask around Reddit because I live in SF. I know where the office is, uh, and I'm trying to get people to get back on me on that to see because I'm just frankly like very, very curious. I want to know what Reddit thinks about the video. Um, I don't think it was as huge of a splash as I was expecting because one person got back to me and they're like, oh, I don't know what this. They were like vaguely familiar with like a viral event or something, but they were an engineer, so it didn't really affect their work. Um, but I basically want to say is I would be very surprised if the company didn't see it. Like probably a lot of people at the company saw it, but it's I mean they're probably not like changing the whole company because of me. They're probably like, oh wait,
Sure.
this is a crazy thing. Maybe let's get more feedback from mods. Maybe let's I hope they're taking some of the feedback. I hope they watch the video and look through the jokes and kind of improve the program. But I don't know if they're going to really talk to me or tell me about it. But
Yeah.
if there are any Reddit employees, tell me. Anybody who works at Reddit, just get that info out to me. It'll be anonymous.
Yeah. Hit Stale up if you work at Reddit for sure. Okay. Um,
No, it's not if you work at Reddit. If you
if
have a
you're
friend, you gotta
sure.
gotta think
Sure, sure, sure,
you
sure.
got to think of this more quickly because like a Reddit employee, they're not going to give me the info because they could get in trouble for it. But if you
Right,
have a
right,
friend of
right.
theirs, be like, oh hey, have you heard about this crazy thing? You work at Reddit, right? What's going on with
Okay.
that?
See, it's back to this political mindset. Okay, you're thinking as a politician here. Okay, you're thinking about the smart.
It's infected. It's infected me too much, unfortunately. This is what it does to you. I think
Yeah.
that's maybe okay. Maybe it's not anybody's fault. maybe just like being a Reddit mod just drives you crazy. I think about that with influencers too. Like I think of all of these people who like were they normal people before? Like or like do you have to be a narcissist to become a live streamer, or does it turn you into a narcissist? And I'm now leaning towards it turns you into a narcissist. I think that the system creates these monsters.
So that's a really interesting question, and this is something I have talked about on my streams before. I mean, I think that there is certainly a component of like I think there's a component of you have to have at least a grain of narcissism to be like some form or want to be some form of influencer, right? You have to have, even if it's like I don't even think that a couple of grains of narcissism is a terrible thing, right? Like I think you have to, see, you know, to be successful in almost any field, you kind of have to look out for your own self-interest to a certain degree and everything. But I would agree with you that I think, you know, even with the small bits of things that I've gotten over the, I guess year or so that I've been consistently streaming, like it does change the way you think for sure. It absolutely does. Okay. So, okay, here's one that I have that's very interesting to me. So you talk about this a little bit in your irony video that, you know, some people will kind of see you talking about your spez video and talking about kind of the jokes that you made as cope, right? Um, and I guess one of my questions was because you kind of say that you have become familiar with I guess lol cow kind of like the concept at the very least and like the content around it I'm guessing as well.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so the like the devil's advocate, right? Is like I have seen just from because sometimes as you saw with my channel I do sometimes like look at lolcow stuff, that kind of thing. I have seen people make claims equivalent to some of the ones that you did that you've said as a joke completely seriously, right? And like they there's not it's a similar sort of vibe, and it's just done with no humor whatsoever, completely like just completely seriously. And I think that that's where some of the dissonance is happening, because people have seen others say more audacious things in complete earnest, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean on that. But I guess to talk about we'll call it the cope. I like to call it. Let me flip this around in a more positive way.
Mm-hmm.
I think more people should have defenses against like the concept of criticism. Like more people should be able to just dismiss criticism. And so like what I mean by that is, or what I mean, or like cope against criticism. And the reason is I have a very Silicon Valley philosophy about this, which is like a very move fast and break things kind of philosophy, which is,
Right.
hey, you should try and fail and then fail and try again. And like that is in some way you're almost like coping against failure. And you should
Mm.
do that because and the reason why is because I think that failure has uh it's very rarely is that big of a deal. Very rarely has strong negative consequences and you could kind of learn from it. So in some ways, like I have almost called that like the cope. Like, yeah, you're right, it is a cope, but that's like good. Like you should be able to fight back against criticism. You should be able to defend yourself against that, and just say it's a joke all along or all that.
Okay. Interesting. But when you made that original spaz video, like those lines were originally intended to be jokes, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was. So
Okay.
like those. Well, that's it wasn't like a super planned out joke.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I was writing the script, and then I had like a funny idea,
Right.
and yeah, because I wanted to use an here's the celebrity example. I wanted to use an analogy with influencers because like influencers have platforms, right? And so I'm like trying to analogize the platforms of influencers to Reddit mods. And well, what's another word for an influencer? Well, it's a celebrity. And so that was my thinking. It's like, oh wait, that's funny to call Reddit mods celebrities. And so that's where how I kind of put it in there.
I see.
And then yeah, and then okay, and also the first one, like the I really thought the first one was an obvious joke. Okay, it's like a comedy beat. It was like a where I said I'm going to talk to you about something of deadly seriousness.
Yeah, yeah,
Reddit moderation. Is it that's a beat, right? Like people know what a beat is. Like
yeah.
you take a thing and you kind of say the opposite.
No, I mean, I get, I get it, especially after hearing more of you talk and more of you explain things. But it's just, again, one of those things where, like, I think a lot of us have seen people say just like some of the most ridiculous things on planet Earth, and they're
Yeah.
just legitimately deadlock serious in it. And they, like, that. I think that's just where the dissonance is. Where, like, if that's people's only experience with you, like, I think if they watch your irony video, or they watch your, talking to Charlie after you reacted to your video, I think that in that case, it's probably like, they're gonna have a lot better of a chance being like, okay, yeah, no, what he's saying makes sense in terms of like it being a joke. But like you just experienced that, and so many people are used to seeing just complete
Yeah.
serious kind of delusion, I guess, that that's gonna be their impression, right? Um, okay,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could still think that. Let me say that. You could still think that some of the things that I say are silly, but like usually I am aware that something is a little silly when I say it, or like I'm
right.
aware that I'm like putting myself out there, like making a bit of a controversial argument, and like you know, I still stand behind some of these controversial arguments. It's just, yeah, I know it sounds ridiculous.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Um, so kind of, going off that, in your interview with Side Scrollers, you really lean into like this politician slash kind of villainous like bad guy mod who would use his power to like gain more and potentially like twist things behind the scenes with playing both sides and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And do you have you did you experience anybody who kind of came to the conclusion that you knew what you were promoting was potentially shady because of that attitude?
Um, I guess like I'm trying to think of like what the point would be. Like what's like the what's like the benefit on my part? Like even when I'm trying, like, because I mean, I can ask, I can do the self interest thing when I want to be, or the villain thing when I
Mm-hmm.
want to. But
Mm-hmm.
why would a villain do that? Like is the accusation that I'm in on the scam? Like I'm gonna make a bunch of money on off of this by
I mean, I'm sure you've seen people be like, people making allegations that it's like, oh, I'll bet he was paid behind the scenes, or like, oh, like, he has something to gain from this, like he has some like invested interest,
yeah.
whatever, right?
I guess here's my answer that I'll give to the money thing. This one, this is honestly hard for me to understand why people do this, or I kind of do understand why. I'm in. This sounds very braggy to say this, and I really hate bragging sometimes. But like I'm a software engineer in San Francisco. I've been here for like 10 years in AI, and so like the money thing, like people bring out these arguments of like, oh, what if you like made $1,000 or something, um, and I will like arrogantly say that this is like laughable.
Mm-hmm.
Like do people understand? Because I'm surrounded by people who are making so much money. I've had positions where I made so much money, and it's like not a like. I guess this is my privilege that I almost like dismiss these arguments as like so when people accuse me of that, like I'm like laughing internally to myself, and that sounds arrogant to think that I would take a $2,000 bribe or something. But yeah, that's my arrogant. I'm wealthy response.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, I can see that from your perspective for sure. Okay. Okay. Um, okay, and so this is more just about the contest itself. Do you feel like the talent being brought in was worth the 20 million potential prize pool?
I mean, so I heard they were trying to get bigger streamers, is what I'll say, because I know
Okay.
XQC got pitched it as well. So
Okay.
I think they wanted some bigger ones. I mean, they had a couple big ones, like Extra Emily is huge, and Andrea and Alexandra Motez are huge. Um, but like I don't know if the I'm not necessarily sure that the streamers themselves are really the huge draw. I don't think you would need a huge like these huge streamers. I just think that like the fact that it's a streaming show would make it big. Like I still think that the show could have been successful. I think it could have worked. It's just yeah, it didn't go through.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. And okay. So you said Extra Emily, you said but let me just phrase it this way. Which live streamers announced the game show before you made that post?
Um I saw Extra Emily did. So I was in a Discord and I heard
Mm.
Extra Emily made an announcement, and then like an hour later, I reached out to them.
Okay, so Extra Emily was kind of like the catalyst to that. Okay.
Yeah, she made a Discord message. It wasn't even a big announcement. It was like one post in a Discord, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Um, and so you one of the things that you kind of talk about is like how one of the big red flags that other people saw was the prize pool. Was that when you initially saw that, like, was there some skepticism on your end? I know that you said that like you were kind of reassured by the fact that you saw that like this was, a potential Amazon production, and because of that, and because of the fact that they have like, they put billions of dollars into their shows every year. That probably dissuaded
yeah,
you a little bit.
yeah. I mean, I noticed it and I thought it was funny. I was like, oh, these Amazon Prime, they're freaking idiots, dude. But like, I believe that they were being idiots. Um, and so here's the reason why. Here's the reason why that is plausible to me. People have put a lot of money into this influencer space. The example that I'll give is esports. There's been so many venture capitalists who have done some weird math and ended up like 10 million, $20 million in debt based on some bad investment in esports because basically the pitch sounds really good. And so I think somebody could do some funny money math here to make the $20 million make sense. You say like, okay, this person has this many viewers, each viewer is worth $100, $100 multiplied by half a million, that's 20 million. You can do this, and like these pitches, maybe it's just because like I'm surrounded by this is my Silicon Valley brain again. I'm surrounded by people who like have done dumb pitches and have gotten this amount of money before. Like I know people who have no product who have raised like $8 million off of nothing, like just because like they were an engineer at a FANG company. And so to hear like $20 million, maybe this is my arrogant SF tech brain again. That to me just doesn't even seem like that huge of a money. Like I'm talking to people that I know that like have no product, are definitely gonna fail, and they've raised 8 mil. These guys have influencers on board. Surely they can do better than this random idiot that I know. So that's how weird my viewpoint is skewed, is what I'll say.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the one thing I will say is like when you talk about these numbers and you do the same thing like kind of in your video. I mean, like my whole thing is like that's only the prize pool, right? Like there has to be
Yeah.
millions and millions of other dollars that would go into the actual making the show itself, right? Much less promotion and I mean, I guess Amazon would be handling that, but like you know what I mean, like okay,
Yeah.
but I see where you're coming from. Yeah. Um. Okay. Do you do you really think that LSF's involvement could have made the show a lot more successful? And if so, how?
Yes, absolutely. It was because a reality TV show about live streaming is the most perfect content that I could ever imagine for a live stream fail. Like the whole point of a game show, reality TV show, is drama. It's crazy moments. It's this is it's like going back to the ice signing era. This is perfect. This could be like the new Big Brother thing, but for the internet age was kind of my thoughts.
Mm, hmm.
And yeah, my whole idea was like, okay, let's go all in on this. Let's make the whole subreddit like I was talking to these people and I was trying to convince them to like do more than what like we had promised. I was like, hey, can you like spam the subreddit? Like maybe have like a whole team of editors, like get like 50 clips per day and like post like 50 clips per day for like a month or something. That's what I was telling these guys. And yeah, I was trying to get them to go in. And like honestly, yeah, if somebody did that, LSF is millions of views per day. You'd be surprised. I think stuff like that can really go viral if somebody you gotta believe, basically. Like I am almost like imagining a different world, like a different universe, where this stuff all went through. And I almost think it might be able to succeed, but you gotta suspend your disbelief. You gotta actually believe in it. And if you don't believe in it, you're done. You go
Hmm.
half. It's called the full retard problem. If when everyone else is going full retard, you can't go half. You gotta go full.
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
And also, it's just like those kind of ideas are very uh very of interest to me, right? Because I've told you all my philosophy about how do ideas that everybody else thinks is stupid but have high upside. And so something like this is like a perfect crazy idea that like, okay, if I do some little bit of math thinking about it, maybe it might work. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so you were asked about this on side scrollers, and it feels like you backed up your opinion a little bit, but I'm curious if you have since like kind of walked back your opinion at all of like you saying that an influencer is an idiot that happens to have a platform, which for the record, I would agree is certainly the case sometimes, right? And there's a higher chance because of stuff like shock value, audacity, and stuff like that. But like there's obviously also like a level of dedication, consistency, a personality that people like that goes into it. So what do you still stand by that?
Yes, but in a different way. So I see your point that it takes some amount of competence to get to this level, and I will agree with that a lot. Yeah, because it does. Anybody can have a lucky break, but to turn that into a career is a big deal. But that competence of getting a platform and growing it is different from using that platform correctly. So,
Mm,
and this isn't even necessarily the fault of the influencer. So the best example that I'll give is Moist Critical, right? The person who did the video about me. He is actually a bit infamous for this. This is not just my criticisms. For yeah, he's a very successful content creator who gets like the video out the next day, but he is infamous for always taking the safe position that isn't even necessarily the most well researched. And he almost like has to do that. Like if you want to succeed, you got to get these videos out like the next day, and you got to do multiple a video a day, maybe multiple videos a day. This stuff cannot be perfect, and that very system of like what makes a content creator successful means that the platform is going to be misused.
hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, okay. I can see both sides on that. Yeah. Hmm. Okay.
But like I guess, here's a more chill version of that, which is yes, influencers are competent at entertainment, but they have I always meant that in like okay, these influencers have a team behind them. Okay, I like when I say that, I just mean like, hey, they're not idiots at making content, but they are idiots at organizing an event. They are idiots at getting a brand deal. They are idiots at like basically doing all the business stuff behind the scenes, and and they shouldn't have to be good at it, and that's why they have a team. And so just like they have a team behind them that does the business stuff, what if you have a business people behind Bredabots who are the creative
Mm-hmm.
actors?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Um, when you talk about the clip contest that you proposed, right? The you talk about streamers attempting to create the best clip. Now, I'm very curious about this. Would you agree or disagree that this removes like the organic element of these clips, and that potentially lessens their potential for actual engagement.
Sure, but I, I think you could get away with it. I guess a lot of my arguments that I have are is that we have too much organic stuff and not enough planned stuff. And if people, another way of something being planned is like you're actually trying. And so like yeah, like maybe it needs to be less organic, and maybe it does need to be more planned out, and kind of see how it goes. Because you
Mm-hmm.
do, I wish. Let me say, I wish these people were planning stuff out. I wish they had script writers. Imagine how much better content we could have if this like drama was scripted by actual TV show writers. Or at least here's another example. Just look at Logan Paul. Okay, all this shit's scripted. He like all he did all this fights with like KSI, but like then they created a drink together, Prime drink. All this shit's scripted. Like at the very top echelons of this content, you do have all the stuff that I'm talking about here of script writers planning out the storylines and the clips and the situations. You just don't know it because they're so good. You just wouldn't know it. Same with like I Show Speed or whatever. All his stuff scripted.
Okay.
I hate to break the to pull the wool from people's eyes to show people under the curtain not
Before
not at the streamer level though. I don't think the streamer level stuff is scripted.
before you said speed, I would have more strongly disagreed with you because my thing with somebody like one of the polls, right? Like in my opinion, I feel like that almost appeals to like the lowest common denominator because other than that, most people do know that it's scripted. And because of that, one of the biggest critiques that it gets is the fact that it's like inorganic and it doesn't feel real, right? Like that's kind of that's my vision with it where it's like when you get stuff like the polls like for example Logan had this kind of attempt to promote the new Prime like protein thing, and he used this supposed fight that he had with Bradley Martin as an ad, right? He created an ad based on that was supposed to be like the leaked footage or whatever, right? In that case, it's very obviously scripted, but it just feels like a kind of icing on top of the cake of that kind of behavior that a lot of people have quickly become tired of, other than kind of that lowest common denominator audience.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree in that you need good writers to do it to pull it off, to do it the right way. You need people who understand the space and can do it right. But you're right that it can fall into this trap if you do it poorly. You're right, it does look bad.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So what was the idea behind like the extremity of your ideas for the contest? Was that a joke? Because I genuinely could not tell. Like the two examples, or I guess three
I
examples.
Sure.
Yeah, like you say causing a car accident and electrocuting a furry, and then or like combining them and hitting a furry with your car. I was very
Yeah.
curious if
So
that was like what was that?
yeah, this goes into another issue that I had, which is it's that I say a thing thinking that people are going to understand it, and clearly I did not give enough context to explain that the situation of what's going on here. So I chose those examples for very intentional, specific reasons, and those reasons were that the idea of the contest is you would have these content creators recreate existing viral clips, or like basically they would probably try to copy it because it's funny to recreate these viral clips that have gotten them in trouble on live stream fail, right?
Mm.
Because that's or like same stuff that's like that. So basically similar stuff like that. And so I just took real life examples of controversies that these people had been in. What is a controversy that Extra Emily has been in? Well, multiple times of like crashing a car, right? So the joke is, oh hey, just like how you went viral for crashing a car in LSF and got in trouble last year, you do the same thing, right? This is like the obvious example. You'll copy the thing you did last time. The other example is the shocking a um a person in a furry shoot. That is in reference to a Cluely ad. Do you know there's a company called Cluely? They're a tech company. They do a stupid product where it helps you cheat on interviews, but basically they have a big viral presence. And they made an ad where they put a shot color on a dog in a furry costume. It's very over the top, very ridiculous. And this is also a reference. They did this in reference to the Hassan drama.
Of
So there's a bunch
course.
of Hassan drama. Yeah, it was viral on LSF for a month of him shocking the. And then I guess the final example is like, oh, haha, you take the two ideas, which I thought were obvious ideas. I thought they were super obvious ideas, and just put them together, and that's like the funny joke. And so
Okay.
that's the full explanation.
Okay.
I
Okay.
thought it was funnier. Like I think it makes more sense when I explain it. Like, okay, you're copying the thing that you were viral for in the past,
No,
but people just didn't even understand what I was saying.
it makes complete sense now that you like explain it, but like as you know, I'm a lot more invested in the YouTube space, right? So like I don't know a ton about Twitch drama. Obviously I know about like the Hassan Kaya stuff. Like there's big things that I'll know about, but outside of that, it's not something I'm hugely invested in. So then when I heard that for the first time, my chat and I were just like, what? I was like, he wants people to hit people with car, like, but now that you're explaining it, that makes far more sense. Okay, sure.
And
Okay,
yeah, like maybe it wouldn't be literally hit somebody. Maybe it'd be her fake pretending.
sure.
It'd be pretending to crash the car, I guess, in a
Right,
parking lot, technically.
right.
But yeah.
Okay. Um, okay. Did you ever get any more information? Because in your follow-up video to Charlie, you kind of show some of like the refunds and stuff like that. Um, did you ever get any more information from the company on refunds or just any further developments from them, period?
No further developments. I guess to point out some things that I did talk about though that may not have been in the video. The other developments are that they sent a pseudo threatening message uh, to me and I think to other people, basically saying don't call it a scam and we're going to sue people or something. I don't think they've actually sued anybody. And I've been very clear that technically speaking, I don't know if it's a scam yet. Technically, I have no idea. Don't sue
Okay.
me. And the other development that I'll say is I'm being a little bit facetious here. I'll be fine. And the other major development here of like an actual really sketchy thing that they did is that they were going around telling people, I think, that Amazon Prime was involved. And when I tried to announce this in the announcement post, they stopped me from doing it. I said, "Hey, we should, people are calling it a scam or something. We should talk about it. We should say like, oh, it's run by Amazon Prime. That's going to solve the problems, right? Right? Like that fix everything out." And they're like, "No, you can't. Technically speaking, the deal isn't signed yet." And so that is a
Ooh.
confirmed new fact: is that they did not have a signed deal with Amazon Prime. Maybe they're in talks. Maybe they're in negotiation. Who knows? But if they were, I mean, maybe they didn't. I don't remember if they explicitly claimed this to me, but they like implied that Amazon Prime. So I feel a little bit lied to, even though I don't know if they technically had. And so if they were doing that, if they were telling people very specifically that yes, Amazon Prime is confirmed involved, that would be a lie.
Right. Ooh. Okay. Okay.
Or
That's pretty.
and like best case scenario for them is like that they would be still in negotiation, right? So maybe you know oh yeah, it's like let's assume it's not a scam. I guess like you could say they're still in negotiation and could have signed something later or something, or I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's a little cooked. Wow. Okay. Um, hmm. Okay. Mm, do you think that Reddit mods have a significant enough platform in like a personality driven manner that a post from one of them could compel a significant amount of population or a significant population of people to do things like the way that like sort of an influencer potentially has that platform? Do you think that there is a world in which
You
that can
talking about calls
happen?
to action?
Calls to action, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically calls to action. I've been thinking about that a lot. Okay, yeah, because I do think about calls to action. Um, it, the answer is I think it takes time. You got to train your audience to do it,
Mm.
and so it wouldn't happen right off the bat. But you, you basically need your users to like you too. So you have to get people. If people like you, then I think they would do it. But nobody even like knows who these people are, so it probably wouldn't work off the bat. But I wish it would. That's what I want to do. That's like the kind of thing that I would experiment with is how do you do a call to action to drive people to do things?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think one of the issues is the fact that like mods are most of the time inherently like faceless entities, right? So there is that kind of barrier of
Yeah.
like so much of what causes somebody to want to participate in a call to action is like a not even necessarily a trust, but a relatability or enjoyment of a personality. You know what I mean? Um, or it can be like, the message itself, if they like it and everything. But like, I think on a more major level, it is something that certainly is personality driven. Um, which I think can potentially happen with a mod. I've seen cases in which it would be possible, but I feel like that's more minority than majority.
Yeah, exactly. You need to make the parasocial relationship for it to
Yeah,
work.
exactly. Yeah. Okay. Um so you talk about this a little bit in your irony video. Do you think that there's more than four layers of irony? Because you kind of like invent a couple along the way. Do you think there's more?
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point of
It's
the
like
thing,
it's an
I guess,
endless
is
cycle of like the defense offense defense offense kind of thing.
exactly. So that's my so I took a lot of these ideas from JReg, who's kind of a pretty big content creator who talks a lot about irony. He was the one who really popularized this topic of like irony and post irony, and I was giving my framework or kind of spin on top of that. And so even my stuff is like people debate people debate about what that is. Like my like opposite thing, like that framework of like everything is a criticism on top of each other. That's just one way of thinking, and I do that because I think it's useful. It's not that it's necessarily right in all terms, it's that it's useful to think about in a framework of thinking about the internet. So this is how I think about the internet, and a framework that works for that, of kind of describing it.
Okay. Yeah. Hmm.
But yeah, I guess I kind of skipped your question. It gets very hard. Like it was very hard for me to even think of like layer 3 or 4. Like once you get to 5, or I don't even know. I don't even know what this. It gets real confusing. Oh, the more you go up.
Yeah.
But other people put out videos and had different opinions on it.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay. Um, One of the things that I thought was interesting that you said during that video is that you said that a lolcow is in some senses self-aware. Do you have any examples of that?
Um, yeah, I mean the main people are is like probably Boogie, I would say. So like Boogie, he's very viral. I don't even follow his content really at all. But he's very viral. But he goes on these shows and he plays into it. So like he's definitely not being dumb for no reason, although he is probably dumb. He's also playing it up. And then people also make fun of him for that. So people say like, okay, it's Boogie doing the thing where he's coping, he's trying to be on the joke, but by playing it into even more, you become more of a lolcow.
Mm, yeah. I feel like
I
Boogie.
just read a couple comments.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. I feel like Boogie is like kind of an example that again kind of falls into the minority, where it's like he is somebody who's so desperate kind of that he like has realized that he's able to play into it to kind of make more money. But like the vast majority of lolcows, like usually one of the classifications that you would that one thinks of with those kinds of people is the lack of self-awareness, right? Um, like
Yeah,
just the fact that you continuously get yourself into the same situation over and over and over again. Um, and like it's interesting because Boogie in some ways has like self-awareness, but then he because of how much he does stuff like lie and stuff like that, he still kind of has that like lack of self-awareness where he just continuously gets himself in again and again and again, like the crypto scam thing, or him potentially faking cancer. Like it's very interesting.
yeah. I mean, I would say like, maybe my thing, maybe lolcow is the wrong word, but um, I guess with my framework of like we'll call it the layer 2, like the layer 2 is the criticism of the concept of criticism. That it's the cope, it's the defense against criticism, it's being able to ignore criticism. That almost requires by definition self-awareness. You can't be at layer 2 attacking the concept of criticism without being aware that you're doing something a little crazy. You're already losing your mind a little bit here.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not really what it will. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't find a better word for it. So
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here's. I I know this was probably a joke, but like out of all of the metaphors that you could use in your irony video, why the sex educator? Why?
that was
And like the AIDS.
That
I mean,
was so
it was
good.
really funny. I can't deny it. Like it was very funny.
I mean, I can tell you how I thought of the joke, right?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking of like because I use these analogies about like viruses, and so I mean the obvious next step is what's uh okay you have the immune system that fights against the virus and what attacks the immune system, and I mean the obvious example of it is of course AIDS that attacks the immune system, and so it just the joke just plays out from there. Like, how do you fight AIDS? Sex education. It's just the joke just it literally invented itself, right? There's no other way I could have said that.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Okay. Okay.
Right? It's just that's where the joke comes from.
So we'll get into a
That's how
few.
I kind of feel about my humor. A
Yeah.
lot of my humor is I almost feel like I'm not coming up with it. I just see a situation and I just follow the path and I just where does it go? This is where it's gone.
Yeah. Okay. Um. Okay. I'm gonna get into a few chat questions, and then we will. I have a couple more for you. Um. So. Okay. Okay. Do you consider yourself a nice guy?
Yeah, I'm actually like a really nice guy normally. I mean, so I do it. Let me say this way. I like to be nice, and we'll call it a bit of a self-interested way. So you can think about karma, where if you're, uh, nice to other people, they'll tend to be nice back to you, even if you're not really kind of demanding or expecting them to do that. And I would say it's also a bit of like an egotistical thing. So let's say I help somebody out and I spend 10 minutes like changing their life. I've done this before, like referring people to jobs or whatever. That feels really good. It feels really cool to be able to like spend 10 minutes changing somebody's life. But it's not even from a you help the person's perspective. It's like, oh, it's like an ego thing. It's like, oh, look at the power that I have that, I did this. I changed that. I did that thing. And so uh, that's kind of what I think about it. And so whether or not I almost think like whether or not I am nice because I'm doing it to help people or whether or not I'm doing it for the ego, at the end of the day, the person still gets helped. And so
Hmm.
does it really matter? So that's what I think about it. I always consider it like a Schrodinger's box. Like, am I doing it because I'm nice and I actually care about the person, or am I doing it for ego? I don't know. Who cares? They still get helped anyway. I still feel good. That's it.
Sure. Yeah. So the intentionality
And
behind
yeah,
it doesn't
I'm also
necessarily matter.
a very different in person.
Yeah. I mean
Yeah,
that makes
and
sense.
like I'm also this internet stuff is very different from personal stuff.
Yeah. Fair. Fair. Class and race on WoW.
I'm playing priest right now, night elf. I mean, Misgifts gonna build. Normally,
Okay.
I love horde. I prefer horde a lot, but I guess Misgifts Guild is on in alliance right now.
In your opinion, what is the essential quality of LSF that could not be replicated elsewhere? If it were gone tomorrow, what, aside from post history, would be lost?
I would say it's the source of a lot of major stories in kind of like live streaming and kind of like Twitch and Kick and like the entire space. So these days there is a lot of like online clippers who get kind of paid to post stuff now these days. We didn't really have these kind of years ago, but I still think that a lot of these clippers source their stories from live stream fail, and so like without that, would these stories even exist at all? It's hard to say. I think because it's not as easy for like an individual random person to spread a story. Because like, what are you gonna do? Like, DM it to somebody? Like, say, please post my clip to your Twitter account. Um, it's probably not gonna be reshared if you're sharing it on your like 200 follower account, right? This is what I'm saying. And so
Right.
I think that's it. You lose the source of like this this input that kind of anybody can really kind of push and enter into.
I think that makes sense, but what what about that like makes it unique? You know what I mean? Like, couldn't there just be like some other like you know subreddit that did, similar things and rose to prominence like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess you could have just an LSF2 that replaces the whole thing.
Sure.
I mean, if you want to talk about from the technical perspective, yeah, you lose the existing audience, you lose all of the followers and the people who have notifications on, and then the branding, and yeah, branding does matter, but and it's hard to build brand, but so that's like a very obvious mechanical marketing effect, but that's not. I didn't. I don't know if that really is the spirit of the question, but maybe it is.
Yeah, I think what they were trying to ask is if there was anything particularly unique about the subreddit itself, like outside of the sheer, like, because I think the spirit of the question is almost like if LSF was just like destroyed, like it just randomly gets deleted, like
Sure.
what would be lost, right? And I think that it seems like the
Okay,
answer is
I'll give you another.
yeah.
I can give you another example.
Uh-huh.
Another example would be I do feel like it's one of the few places that is a fairly neutral battleground. So you have a lot of communities from different spaces coming in there to fight their fight, whereas I think a lot of other subreddits would be much more biased towards kind of one direction or the other.
Mm, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Um, Stale, what is your take on critical talking about you?
I mean, it's fun. It's it's kind of crazy. I didn't realize it was going to go this viral. Um, and I would say I disagree with some of his original points, but later on, apparently, like Moist Critical watched my response and he liked it. He thought it was interesting, and so I was a little bit impressed by that. And so he, I guess he does get criticism sometimes for not doing enough research. I do think that he listens to arguments. I do think that he responds and kind of takes it seriously. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, cool. Do you still have the LSF merch that you made?
Yes, wait, let me get it.
Awesome. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, basically it's just this. I mean, so I just okay, people call it merch, like as if I was gonna like sell it. Like I just made two shirts and then I wore to TwitchCon
Mm-hmm.
to make people aware that I was like the LSF guy. I just got it from Custom Ink, like $25 a shirt. But yeah, it was just that with the logo on the LSF shirt. I think it's pretty cool and obvious, and yeah, it's purple. So
Nice. Okay. Um, Spaghetti or meat?
a steak, absolutely.
Okay, there you go. Okay. Um, Thoughts on Chud Logic?
Um, I mean, he's another person I would say is we'll call it lost in the system, and so he does uh he can be one of the more reasonable ones is what I'll say, but if you spend your every single day of your life for years just like reacting to drama content and like giving your critical take on things, I think that really kind of affects you as a person is what I'll say, and you kind of end up the same as all these other people. And but he's more reasonable than most. He's not really intentionally bad faith most of the time. Um, he also runs this like really weird Discord. I think that's really weird. The fact that just like there's like he just lets a bunch of okay, that's the big thing with these drama people. For some reason, they just like even if the main person isn't that crazy, they just surround themselves with psychopaths. And I don't know why. Like it's like, do you really need these psychopaths in your audience? And so he's got a couple of those in his spicy chat, and so that's my
Oh,
biggest criticism. These
like
type of people.
like how are they psychopaths? Like, what do you mean by that?
It's like his spicy chat thing is like one of the most toxic discords like in the entire streaming space is what I'll say. It's like Kiwi Farms tier kind of attacks against people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's like seven off branches of them now too. So there's icy chat.
There's bunches.
There's yeah. There's all these crazy ones. Um, okay. I mean, speaking of which, do you know who Aiden Underground is?
That name keeps popping up,
Yeah,
and so
I'm pretty sure he really
I
wants to
haven't
interview you.
yeah, I vaguely looked at his content, and he was just like, "Wait a second, you're just the same." Here's the thing: these people they're like interchangeable. Like you can't unsee it. Like you can replace one person with the other, and it's all the same thing. Even like their opinions like, dude, they think of themselves as these critical, contrarian people, but they're all exactly the same. It's so weird.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
And so yeah,
And
I'm very critical of these people.
and speaking of which, I did see that you have Chud added and you have Dickers added, I think. Do you have any interviews already scheduled that you're planning on doing in the next little bit? Or
Not not the moment. I have
okay.
another one actually. There might be one in a week with it's actually a real life friend. He's working with a psychologist actually to kind of talk about how to solve kind of toxicity on kind of the internet with kind of proven kind of stuff. But it's going to be a much more serious person with an actual PhD. So that's gonna be cool. But I don't know when that's gonna happen. A week or two.
Huh. Okay. That one's that one's that sounds really interesting. Okay, I'll definitely watch that.
Yeah,
Um
yeah. I'll put it on my channel. I guess when it's out.
so okay, I want to preface this question with I am balding. I have a
Mhm.
large bald spot. Okay. When did you start balding?
Maybe like years ago or something.
Okay. Okay.
5 or 6 years ago.
And do you have like a routine or anything like that? Like, like
I did a couple months ago start on the minoxidil or something.
uh-huh.
It is what it's called, which is like a pretty safe kind of effective kind of thing. I mean, it doesn't solve everything, but does like it like thickens up kind of a lot of your hair. I don't think I'm ever gonna get rid of the fix that part without kind of like hair transplant, but it helps a lot with kind of looking at it, things from the back.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, see, I just need to know what I'm trying to listen, I'm asking anybody I can here, man. Okay. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
minoxidil is the big one, and the other big one is finasteride, which is a fairly common drug apparently too.
Yeah.
Uh, People talk about side effects for that one. I don't know if there actually is any, but people make jokes about it. But those are probably you have those two ones, and you're good.
Okay. And then like, I'm sure you've gotten this one before, but like a couple people in chat were asking like if you ever just thought of saying fuck it and like taking the top off. Have you ever thought about that?
No, I'm too contrarian to do that. Like
Mm.
I'm not gonna um like honestly like all this stuff related to like baldness has like literally never come up in my life. Honestly, like until I was on the internet,
Yeah. I
and so
mean,
like I just don't
makes
really care that
sense.
much.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the internet loves its ad homs. So I mean, it makes sense. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, but it's like very low. I'm not really bothered because it's like literally the most lowest common denominator insult I think you can do against a man. Right? Like we're talking like most common insults in the world.
Yeah.
Like I guess like a male influencer, let's call them bots or whatever.
True. True. Okay. So, how many people do you think you banned from your subreddit? Sub Alliance.
Thousands. Oh, okay, not so, okay. Um, I've not been that many from Sublines. We're talking like a dozen or so,
Okay.
and people stopped. There hasn't been much kind of activity lately, so people just kind of slow down.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But on LSF, it was thousands, maybe even over like 10,000 people
Oh, that makes
that I
sense.
banned
That makes
personally.
total sense. Yeah. Okay. Um. Yeah. So, did you ever see the anti Sub Alliance subreddit?
I saw the word, I guess. I didn't really look into what it was.
Okay. Okay.
The people made some jokes about it. I don't know if it's like that is even if that's even a real thing anymore.
Yeah. I mean, listen. So I made that subreddit. Um, and
Oh, okay.
it was literally just a one-off bit, right? And I made like a stupid joke post being like, "Gamers rise up, like get in here," and you deleted the post, and so I was curious if there was like any thoughts behind that, or if it was
Yeah.
just like, okay, this is like a clear troll. I'm just like taking this out.
Um, Yeah, I think I remember what you're talking about. I think I did because it was like it's not just the insult. It's like it was like a call to action, and so it's like I'm a little bit more wary about like is this like serious? Is this like an attempt to actually
Mm,
start like an
mm-hmm,
anti-fan community? Right? Like,
mm-hmm.
that was the biggest issue. It's like okay, what? Yeah, it's not really like a personal thing. Is like
Okay.
and
Yeah.
like honestly, I didn't like really think about it that much. Like we're talking like we spent like 5 to 10 seconds thinking about it. Like I don't know about that
No, and I
one.
figure that that's how like decisions like that go. It's not like you're like, yeah, you're not like sitting there being like, I got to
Yeah,
do something about this. Yeah, no, no, I get it. Okay, okay, no, that makes sense.
yeah.
No, I just thought it was funny more than anything. Like we did that in the chat as like this kind of like one off bit because we looked at your initial video and your response to critical, and then later the irony video, and we were just like, what if we just started the anti sub alliance? This really stupid like bit. Okay, that's funny. That's satisfactory. Okay, um, it looks like I'm not seeing if we have any other questions. I don't think we do. So, you know, again, like I mean, just to loop back around, is there you got any questions for me? Like, I just want to make sure to be an open book with anybody I interview.
Um, I don't know. I mean, what kind of content do you do? I see a couple of YouTube videos, or
Yeah,
you do
so
interviews, or I didn't really look into you that much.
yeah, I do, kind of variety like drama content. Like I just cover what I find interesting more than anything. I've talked about I'm big into like false allegation stuff. I'm big into like most recently I've been talking about a lot of the Roblox space actually, which is actually way more interesting than you would think it is. It is like full of like just very strange
Yeah,
people who are used to catering to a child audience, so they think that they can just be very blatant about the things that they say and do. Um, so yeah, I mean,
hmm,
I just kind of cover what I find interesting more than anything, and that's exactly how you came up. Like, I mean,
okay,
I saw your initial video, and I was like, this is really interesting, and I have to dive into this.
yeah, it's cool. Yeah, you were one of the few people who did a deep dive actually. Yeah, it's cool. Do you interact much with other kind of creators?
Yeah, I do. I
Are you
do.
like in a clique or something? I don't know how this works.
I don't know about a clique per se, but I certainly try to have like amicable relations with most of the other guys that live stream within my numbers. Like, I mean that the Aiden guy that I was talking about earlier is somebody that I
Yeah,
interact with a lot. Dickers, who I was also talking about earlier, I interact with a lot. Like, there's a guy named the Op Block, who I also interact with a lot. Like, it's just you know, people within the sphere, certainly.
yeah, yeah. It's like a whole space. That's what I noticed. I noticed like the same people just popped up in this in the in that area every time. But yeah, it's cool. I don't really have anything other than that.
Okay, we do have one last question.
What do you? Okay, here's one more question.
Oh yeah, yeah, go for it.
Yes. What do you? What advice do you have? What do you think I should do now if I were to do like full time content creation stuff?
Um, hmm. I guess okay. So I'll do one bit that's like, less personalized and one that's more. So anytime somebody asks me this question, it's just like you have to do stuff that you actually find interesting because people can tell when you're talking about stuff that you feel like you should. Right. And I don't think you're really going to have that problem because of the fact that this is something that you're not pursuing. Like, you have a job. You're not trying to do this like all the time, full time kind of
Yeah.
thing. Right. But I think that's one of the most important things, which is why it was cool to see like the irony video. Right. So I think stuff along that track is very interesting. I think, I think for you, like the continuing to do interviews is definitely going to be good. I think, in a strange way, almost, you know, controversy will always be a big like selling point, right? And like I think
Yeah.
there's many more opportunities for you to give, hot takes about particular issues surrounding like the internet, Reddit, whatever it is that, can pop you back up and continue popping you, I should say. That I wouldn't be afraid to lean into, which from everything that we've talked about and that I've seen of you, I don't think you are. So I don't think that that's necessarily going to be an issue either.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, just keep going at it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's how I don't know how I could even write a script if I didn't care about it. Uh, uh, I mean, I just like have an idea in my head and like I just like can't get it out of my head, and that's why I just write it down. That's how I make a
Yeah.
script.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to do it. Um, so this last question here from chat. Um, so this is one of my this is kind of like my stale. He's like, he's my one of my top mods here. Um, Notoriously sort of a single guy. He's essentially asking for like, tips on talking to women. Do you have any?
Um, I think you're. It depends on the context, I guess. Like my advice on this is like you just treat them like regular people, and you find like, is the boring advice of like, yeah, you find people who are doing stuff that you're interested in, and you just you just like talk to them about that stuff. Uh, that is a good way of making friends, though. And what I'll say is, it can be hard to. He's probably asking about it in kind of a romantic way, I guess, and so,
Yeah.
uh, is like a way of like how do you jump that kind of distance? Because you gotta make a move eventually. You can't just like hang out with people like for years and then not do anything. I mean, honestly, like the answer is probably just dating apps. Okay, I think that's probably the lowest common denominator. The best thing is just like swipe 100 times on Tinder, Coffee, Spiggle, whatever. And that's like I mean, that's the goal. That's what they're there for. They're there for dating. So there you go.
Okay. You
But
hear that,
people don't like that. I
Tyrone?
don't like dating apps. So
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. Well, I think that's all I got for you, man. I really really appreciate you coming to chat and sticking through it. Um and yeah, man. Feel free to reach out, all that good stuff, and yeah, I hope you have a good night.
for sure. Yeah, I see it. Bye.
Yep. Bye. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Tyrone. Fuck you. Fuck you. Okay? How about that? God damn. His measurements? You people are fucking insane. You people are fucking insane. I thought he was you know what? Full credit to him. I thought he was going to kind of freak out when I told him that I made the anti-sub alliance, but he just didn't give a shit. All right? So full credit to him, right? It made me see the idea behind some of the issues that he had, which was cool. But obviously it's like the most like mundane shit ever because it's Reddit. You know what I mean? So it's like it's not like it's like some global Somali sex trafficking thing, right? But it's like it's still there's I don't know. It was interesting. The psychology behind all of it's very interesting as well. I don't know. Very interesting. Tyrone is a celebrity. Okay, Guamgo loves Tyrone. Stale loves Tyrone. Okay.